was giving the commands through the CIA, and possibly just CIA operatives rather than an official CIA investigation might be who is responsible.
They must be protecting someone really important to have occasioned such a massive cover-up.
I have not talked about it before.
Well, I mean, but everyone else has.
I'm not the one to answer the question about Oliver North's involvement in smuggling drugs in the Iran-Contra affair. Again, sticking to the facts, I know that when Oliver North was before Congress in the congressional hearings of the Iran-Contra affair, 2 questions came up about Mena, Arkansas, and the investigation went into closed-door sessions. Now, if Oliver North had not been involved in Mena, then why did he simply say, I don't know anything about Mena? Why did the committee go into closed-door session? That's a fact that cannot be ignored.
If Oliver North had not been involved in Mena, there would not have been a Mena, would there?
That's a reasonable assumption. That is certainly a reasonable assumption that I would have to agree with. Barry Seal was conducting his drug smuggling operation long before Oliver North got involved.
Was Barry Seal a big enough drug smuggler to have conducted a drug smuggling operation with the regularity to provoke citizen complaints about low-flying aircraft?
Probably not. And in fact, now that you say that, it wasn't until the time frame after Oliver North got involved in Mena that there was so much drug activity over the tracks.
So does it seem possible at all to you that if Oliver North had not been charged with flying guns down to the Contras illegally and bringing back cocaine that could be then sold to be used to finance the Contra war, those 2 boys might be alive today?
Seems apparent that they would be.
The national soul-corroding goings-on in Mena, Arkansas go on and on and on.
I believe that the reason these investigations have gone nowhere are because of the connections of Kirk Lane and Jay Campbell to Dan Lassiter and on up the line to Governor Clinton. I also believe that those connections filter down to our local hierarchy and criminals and thugs, which are public officials here in Saline County. I can't begin to articulate the feelings. I don't think there are any words that will accurately describe them, that you feel when you learn that the people that you trusted to do their jobs and to help get to the bottom of things are not only involved in a cover-up, but were also involved in the murder itself.
It's too big a subject to cover even in 2 hours. Every time you think you're done, you hear a little voice saying, but wait, there's more.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about the number of people down here in Arkansas who have been somehow connected with investigations that somehow involve the power structure here that have turned up dead.
I really can't say about the others. All I know is myself, and I know that my career was never the same after that. And instead of pursuing the fact that my mail had been opened up the way it was, and the fact that mail is a common way of transmitting chemical and biological reagents like that, and in light of what the doctor said repeatedly, there was no investigation, there was no concern, there was no sympathy from the state police for my condition, and my tenure with the state police was never the same after that. In fact, I'd been out just a few days when the FBI arranged a meeting with me. I was led to believe that it had to do with an investigation. When I got there, I found out the investigation was of me. I was being investigated by the FBI for an illegal wiretap, and I told the FBI agent, Floyd Hayes, that I was in the hospital at the time, still incredulous of what I was being accused of, and he was short of reading me my rights. I was about to be arrested, and I said I was in the hospital, and he argued with me and said I was not in the hospital. He said, I've got this file here, look at it, and I said, I'm not interested in your file, I was in the hospital. The sheriff listened to me and him argue a little bit, and he was arrogant. He was just had a real cocky attitude. He was bound and determined that I was going to be arrested then. I know the routine.
But Russell Welch did escape the clutches of federal officialdom, and today it is his testimony that provides the basis for what we know about the secret history of Mena, Arkansas.
By 1987, there was a new show at the Mena airport. Tell me about that.
In 1987, Barry Seal is dead and gone, and I really would like to have forgotten him. But the dregs of that investigation were still present because the body of his organization was still intact. All, in fact, that had disappeared was Barry Seal. But out of nowhere, C-130 appeared at the Mena airport. Tail number was in 4469 Papa.
Now, C-130 is a military cargo transport plane.
It's a good-sized military cargo transport plane. I found out that many of them had been released into for civilian ownership, although they're still considered an instrument of war. You know, after the C-130s arrived, an Australian by the name of Bob Mattern became a good friend of mine. He was a ground engineer for C-130s, and over a period of months and years, we spent a lot of time together. Different reasons, just friendship. And he told me that when they first came here, that they being in this operation with the C-130s, which I assume is the same operation that the FBI agents were telling me about, he said that they were going to do some special ops. He said they knew that some had already been done here, and that they would come and do some special ops, and then some what he called legitimate business. He said after they were here for a while, they decided they'd do nothing but special ops, and they were going to fence in the airport. And indeed, there was a public announcements in the media locally that the Mena airport was going to be fenced in. Nobody, including law enforcement, would be allowed in without badges, name tags on their shirts, and they'd have their own security force. And that this was being sanctioned by the federal government. And Gene Wheaton, who's a name you're familiar with, checked on with his sources at the Pentagon, and determined from them that that there was no top secret operation being done here, that there wasn't any high-level, expensive government projects going on at the Mena airport, and exposed that locally to the media and other people, and the fence stopped.
Well, let me ask you this: is there an individual that owns one of those establishments who you investigated and whose history you could not document beyond a safe house somewhere in the mid-70s?
Well, you're really wanting to get me into it, aren't you? Didn't we go over this last time?
Not on tape, we didn't.
That's
I didn't mention the man's name.
That's well, yeah. There's one out there who was whose history was questioned, and it was looked into to try to establish just exactly who he was because of his appearance during a questionable time. He appeared. His appearance was contemporary with the message that I got from the two FBI agents, whom I thought were telling me to investigate illegal activity. So yeah, the man was checked on, and yeah, his address that he had given went to a safe house in Maryland.
Half a dozen CIA drug pilots have come forward with basically interlocking tales of SEAL's exploits.
The allegations that we ran, or Barry Seal, or anyone in our organization was involved with the CIA running guns to the Contras and then drugs back, that's all false. We never ran any weapons or never worked for the CIA, not one single time. That C-123 was used twice. It was flown to Nicaragua twice, and then it was parked here. And I saw an article where Al Hathaway was interviewed for the Baton Rouge State Times newspaper, And in that article, he said that that airplane was part of his investigation at one time, and after the Nicaraguan sting,